Colorado said it got around the COVID vaccine roadblock set up by the Trump administration. Yeah, about that.
Yes, it is a hot mess. Yeah.
Colorado's most famous election denier and convicted felon Tina Peters marks 1 year in prison, and there's a big change in her tone. Why are this season's leaf lookers so unhinged? What is happening out there that would cause a whole town to close itself off from the outside world?
It is our last resort to shut down the exits of I-70.
And each Friday, we set aside the headlines of the week to make time for the good news in your life. And we don't judge.
Are we able to do our good news is we get to play with liquid nitrogen this weekend?
Maybe we should judge. Maybe just a little judging would be good. Tonight on Next. Coloradans who want to get the COVID vaccine are still struggling to get it, despite the state trying to work around roadblocks put up by the anti-vaccine activists who are leading health policy for the Trump administration these days. Our Spencer Soischer found trouble is particularly persistent for doctors' offices and people on federally regulated insurance plans.
In a lot of ways, the lockdowns of 2020 seem like forever ago. But in at least one way, it really doesn't.
It does in a way.
At Sapphire Pediatrics in Denver, there's a big commonality: trying to get the COVID vaccine.
You just keep telling those patients here, hang on, we're trying to get it, hang on, we're trying to get it. And
Pediatrician Elizabeth Hemphill says until today, her practice has been unable to get this year's vaccine.
It is a hot mess. Yeah.
Big picture, it's absolutely a confusing time for COVID-19 vaccines.
In 2020, you probably saw state epidemiologist Rachel Herlihy on TV. And in 2025, after federal vaccine policy was dismantled, she and Governor Jared Polis stepped in with an emergency order geared at giving Coloradans better access.
Well, I've been hearing good things about people being able to get it.
While adults in Colorado may be getting the shots easier, young kids, Hemphill says, are less protected.
Most pharmacies will do it only for kids who are 2 years and up. So the 6 months to 2 years, they're kind of at a loss.
And that's not the only group left out. State-regulated insurance plans should cover it, but federally regulated won't, at least until the CDC makes a recommendation.
And we have about 30% Medicaid patients here in this office.
That includes the Vaccines for Children program, too.
Which is a program that we administer here in Colorado, but it is with federally provided vaccine.
And while Colorado may have easier access than many, there are shades of 2020 right now, where not everyone who wants a vaccine can get one.
It's really frustrating because, yeah, they fixed it for adults, but did they fix it for kids? Not really.
That Vaccine for Children's program will not ship vaccines to doctors until the CDC issues final guidelines. The people we spoke with today think part of the delay was the uncertainty for all this to begin with was because smaller practices didn't want to be on the hook for thousands of dollars in vaccines if they were not going to be reimbursed.
Sure, I mean, that makes sense. But I bet everybody's optimistic this will be sorted out soon.
Oh yeah, really soon. And there's no indication of when the CDC is going to rule on this. And then again, when do you get your shipments? What do you order? Yeah. There's just so many moving parts with this stuff.
Yeah, I think as families are sorting this out, whether they want to get the shot, whether individuals want to get the shot, you don't always think like, well, what's my doctor sorting out on his or her end, right? All right, Spencer Soischer, thank you. The Trump administration is celebrating the federal government shutdown as a chance to punish blue states like Colorado. Biggest targeted hit here so far is the cancellation of a $326 million project at Colorado State University. It was designed to reduce pollution from oil and gas sites. President Trump's energy secretary just so happens to be a former oil and gas executive from Colorado. Secretary Chris Wright said that funding is gone for good, even if the government shutdown ends soon.
You're saying that should they reopen the government tomorrow, for example, that the Department of Energy is not going to restore these contracts?
No, these decisions are made business decisions on whether it's a good use of the taxpayer money or not. So no, these projects will not be restored.
Democrats in Colorado's congressional delegation say these particular cuts, $7.5 billion worth, almost entirely in blue states, are an illegal workaround of Congress's authority to dictate spending. Secretary Wright says the cuts had been decided on before the shutdown. No progress discernible today on resolving the government shutdown. Republicans in the Senate need Democrats' votes in order to pass a spending plan and reopen government. In return for their votes, Democrats want Republicans to restore cuts to Medicaid and to prevent health insurance costs from spiking soon. Republicans have said they won't negotiate. Tina Peters is marking 1 year in prison for her role in tampering with voting systems in Colorado. 1 year in the lockup, despite President Trump's demand that Colorado free her or else. Peters is clearly getting frustrated, and now she acknowledges she's running out of money for her legal defense. In a long message that Peters posted online, she wrote, quote, "The president has demanded my release 4 times. Why is the DOJ defying Trump's demand? Get off your blanks and get me out." President Trump has threatened to withhold funding from Colorado if Democratic Governor Jared Polis does not pardon Peters. Polis has said on this program he won't do it. Here are Trump's latest comments from last month.
It's a state charge, so it's hard to do anything with, but we're gonna do something. She's trying to find out what was going on, and they went and arrested her for doing that, and it was supposed to be the other way around. I'm glad you brought that up. They should let her go, let her out.
Tina Peters said this week, quote, "I cannot pay my attorneys and my appeal still has a very long time to go." She urged the Trump administration to find a way to free her, even if judges say the law says she should continue her 9-year sentence. "Just do it," she wrote, "and deal with the court later." Crack open emergency plans for cities and towns in Colorado and you will see preps for floods, wildfires, tornadoes. One of Georgetown's worst-case scenarios involves a horde of humans all lustily looking for leaves and that Instagram-perfect shot. OMG, fall in Colorado. Our Mark Salinger explains how Georgetown shut down the main road into town last weekend and might do it again.
We came to Georgetown with a lot of questions.
I honestly don't know how they find out about it.
Why does a town of 1,200 attract a crowd of 30,000 3 weekends a year?
I have to assume it's through word of mouth.
I think it's absolutely word of mouth and generational habit.
And all the publicity that we get from you as well.
We didn't search for all the people in cowboy hats, but they seem to have all the best answers.
Yes.
Over the years, it's gotten to be really, really popular.
Gary owns a gallery in town.
And we're very close to Denver, so we are easy to get to.
Georgia is the police judge, or the equivalent of a mayor.
100% social media.
And Sergeant Abe is with the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office. Last week, so many cars were in the small town that no one could move.
So we have to shut that down to make sure we get the town cleared out, and then we reopened it right away. It is our last resort to shut down the exits of I-70.
It's the first year they have a traffic plan like this in place for leaf season.
We got to the last resort.
So what made things change?
Yes, last year got very, very treacherous on the pass because people were parked on the roads.
Yeah, last year was like, oh my gosh.
People thought, oh my goodness, we have to do something.
I was here last year and I was a part of the incident up on top of Gwinnett where we had to land the helicopter.
Gridlock turned dangerous last year when first responders couldn't get past leaf traffic to an emergency on the pass.
The leaf season in Georgetown is pretty crazy.
We're still hearing about the crowds and the chaos, but believe it or not, the locals say the new plans are working.
I feel like we do have the same amount of traffic, but I do feel like we planned for it better.
So I'm told this LEAF plan is a working document with a bunch of the local police departments, sheriff's offices in the area. People keep adding to it, Kyle, just working to see what works, what doesn't, what they have to amend for the next year.
Can you sort this police judge thing out to me? That's got a very Old West feel to it.
So this is Georgetown trivia for you on a Friday night. Georgetown is the only remaining territorial charter in Colorado. So instead of a mayor, they have the police judge, who you heard from there. And instead of a town council, for example, they have the Board of Selectmen as well. You learn something new here on Next every day.
And what, if they want to like change their town rules, they have to go to the state legislature.
They have to, if they want to amend any part of the territorial charter, they have to get that through the state, basically. The state legislature has to approve anything that they want to do.
I'm just picturing somebody going, I'm the police judge around here and you're not welcome in this town.
I felt out of place. I didn't have a hat.
Right? Yeah, well, next time you'll know. Mark Salinger, thank you. Loveland's only overnight homeless shelter for adults will stay closed for now, and that leaves the dozens who'd been living there scrambling to find a safe and warm place to stay as the temperatures drop. The South Railroad facility, shelter made up of several tents, was shut down earlier this week. Its temporary permit had expired. Some folks who've been living there are now staying in tents right outside City Hall in protest. Loveland's mayor called an emergency meeting last night, but city council was still split 4-4 on what to do with the shelter, so it stays closed. What this could mean is that Loveland will not be able to clear those tent encampments that pop up as a result, because the city's rules require there to be alternate shelter for people before they can sweep encampments. So while Loveland wrestles with whether to provide shelter to people living on the streets, this week we're calling everybody's attention to some wonderful work that is being done in that community to keep people from falling into unsheltered homelessness in the first place. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the longtime nonprofit House of Neighborly Service, or HNS. For decades, HNS has worked to stabilize families that are struggling, whether that means food assistance, clothes, help finding a job, paying a utility bill, transportation assistance. They offer direct services for low-income families and people facing an immediate crisis situation in the Loveland and Berthoud area. HNS talks about it in terms of help for today, immediate assistance when things get critical and somebody is in danger of ending up on the streets, and then help for tomorrow. That's one-on-one resource navigation to guide families longer term as they stabilize their situation and they plan for a self-sufficient future. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to donate. Your 5 years of microgiving, raising $16 million for nonprofits around our state, proves that $5 donations really do add up quickly. And more than 6,000 of you have signed up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. Put in your info once. Each month, your donations automatically split among all the nonprofits we feature. You don't get all kinds of email and snail mail, and you get to know that you've helped everybody that we touch with this program. It's added an additional $35,000 per week in donations.
As the gate was opening, I heard the Chase Bank notification.
Uh-oh. Parking in the garage at DIA, we warned you. And it's still a reverse lottery system. Glitch in the system keeps charging drivers thousands for a parking spot. And we will end the week the way we always do. We set aside the headlines, head out into the community, and just ask folks, what's your good news? Today, Colorado became the first state in the nation to cap the price that both patients and insurers pay for a prescription drug. The upper payment limit on an arthritis medication is likely to kick off a legal challenge. This is the end of a months-long review we've been following from Colorado's Prescription Drug Affordability Board. In a vote this afternoon, the board decided to cap out-of-pocket costs for Enbrel, an arthritis and autoimmune medication, at $600 per 50 milligrams. That's a weekly dose for adults. Patients have been paying more than $4,000 for the drug each year. The average cost for insurers was more than $50,000. The state had previously deemed that unaffordable. The maker of Enbrel, Amgen, has already sued over the state's work to cap the price. Cap goes into effect next year, and some patient advocacy groups are worried that Amgen could pull the drug out of Colorado as a result. Maybe the next thing the state can deem unaffordable is parking at DIA. You know, we told you about last month an airport employee got charged $2,300 for 14 hours of parking. Well, somebody has her beat. A driver was hit with a $20,000 charge after dropping his wife off at the airport.
As the gate was opening, I heard the Chase Bank notification that $19,824 had been charged to Denver parking.
No! Oh, no. That's not the $7 charge that Jim Boyd was expecting for dropping his wife off at DIA's West Garage yesterday. Turns out the airport's license plate reader mixed up a B with an 8 and charged Boyd for an old ticket on a similar plate.
Something alerted the system to the fact that I had arrived on June the 6th at 2:44 p.m. and they were charging me for that entire time, 169,877 minutes.
No, that ain't right. Steve Sagers reported on this exact same issue on this program in the past. People being charged just insane amounts on a mixed-up ticket. And apparently there are no checks and balances. These things just go out if that's what the computer says. The airport continues to insist this is a rare issue. They say it has happened 4 times out of more than 1 million transactions since June. 4 times. Strange 2 of them call us, right? They say their parking vendor rolled out a software fix this afternoon. Isn't that timely, huh? Boyd says he will be double checking before he swipes his card when he picks his wife up in a few days. So Sorry, honey, I can't come get you. It's going to be $20,000. Can you take the train?
Ouch. I mean, that's another good reason why I use that off-site parking.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're immune to that kind of stuff. Technology is great, isn't it? So check this out. These are the high temperatures for tomorrow. We're going to have another warm, likely 80-degree day here on the Front Range and Eastern Plains, although be a little blustery here. We're expecting some winds. 50s and 60s out in the mountains in the western slope as scattered rain showers will be there all throughout the day. You'll see that here on Futurecast, zoomed out statewide, all scattered across the mountains the entire day tomorrow. On the Front Range, we'll get those downsloping dry winds breaking stuff up here. We could get a few showers, most likely on the northern Front Range. Those showers will also glide through the eastern plains. And then Sunday morning will likely be clear and dry again until the late afternoon, early evening hours. That's when we're going to see exclusive rain and snow to the Front Range mountains and the Front Range. And look at that, 60s on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Those are some comfortable days, Kyle.
My good news is that my husband and I are celebrating 20 years of marriage.
20 years of marriage. Maybe the secret is that they game together. Our favorite Friday questions next. We are a state full of patient and polite people. We know this because every Friday we interrupt people's plans to ask them our favorite question. What's your good news? The latest folks pardoning the interruption were gamers participating in a marathon session to benefit the Colorado Cancer Foundation.
LANFest is a nationwide organization that runs LAN parties across the United States, and the goal is to build healthy communities through gaming. LAN is a local area network, so we're a bunch of gamers. We're here to raise money for charity, play some video games along the way.
My good news is that I got a job promotion this weekend.
Are we able to do, our good news is we get to play with liquid nitrogen this weekend?
My good news is that I recently got engaged and we finally set a wedding date, so we will be getting married next year in October.
My good news is just being down in LANFest for the weekend.
I have a 2-year-old daughter. She's here. She's running around. She loves looking at all the lights, the computers, all that kind of fun stuff, right? And I'm actually welcoming another daughter, my second daughter, in March of 26. And that's the good news.
When you think of like gamer, you think of hardcore cis male sweats who sit in their basement and play games and scream at the computer at all the time. But there's a large majority of gamers who are also female.
My good news is that my daughter Evelyn is turning 13 on Sunday. And it's super good news because she was born with a lot of heart defects and has had many surgeries at Children's Hospital. And so for me, it's a really big deal that she's turning 13.
My partner is coming from the Netherlands. He's moving to America to be with me.
My good news is that my husband and I are celebrating 20 years of marriage. And we're doing it at LANFest like we do every single year.
Did she seem slightly less than pleased that they're spending their anniversary at the gaming convention again? Maybe I read too much into that. If I were him, next year, restaurant, concert, something. Back with your feedback next. Chuck writes in about the situation with people going up to see fall foliage in Georgetown, says the problem with the leaf morons is a lack of courtesy and common sense. Nothing like an appeal for courtesy that simultaneously calls people morons. Janet on Facebook says, you're getting porky. Get a size bigger suit. My goodness. See you next time.